Why does the world still underestimate powerful women? Why is it that so many women are told to be quiet, to be polite, to stay small? But here's the truth. Power was never something you had to earn. It was something you were born with. The real question is not how to become powerful. The real question is, why have you been taught to forget your power? Because a powerful woman is not the loudest in the room. She's the one who knows her worth without needing validation. She doesn't chase approval. She attracts respect. She doesn't wait for permission. She creates her own path. And today, this is not just a speech. This is a reminder of who you are, a reminder of what you deserve, and a reminder that your power has been inside you all along. Know your worth is not about arrogance, and it is not about believing you are better than others. It is about recognizing your value without needing anyone else to confirm it. Most people are taught, directly or indirectly, to measure themselves through external validation, likes, attention, approval, or acceptance. But the moment your worth depends on others, you give away your power. Because people are unpredictable. Their opinions change. Their attention shifts. And if your confidence is built on something that's unstable, it will never feel secure. Knowing your worth begins with understanding that your value is not created by achievements, appearance, or how others treat you. Those things can influence opportunities, but they do not define who you are. Your worth exists before any success and remains even after failure. When you truly understand this, rejection no longer feels like a statement about your identity. It becomes feedback, not a verdict. A powerful woman does not beg for attention because she knows she is already enough. She does not shrink herself to fit into spaces that cannot recognize her value. Instead, she grows into spaces that align with who she is. This shift in mindset changes everything. You stop chasing people who ignore you. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop tolerating disrespect just to feel accepted. Knowing your worth also means setting standards, not just for others, but for yourself. It means deciding what you will and will not accept in your life. And once those standards are clear, you follow them consistently. Not when it's convenient, not when it feels easy, but especially when it's difficult, because your standards are a reflection of how you see yourself. There will be moments when doubt tries to come back, moments when you question if you are truly enough. That is normal. But in those moments, you don't go searching for reassurance from the outside. You remind yourself of the truth you have already decided to believe. Confidence is not the absence of doubt. It is the decision to trust yourself despite it. When you know your worth, your energy changes. The way you walk, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, it all reflects a quiet confidence. You don't need to prove anything because you are not trying to convince anyone. You already know. And that certainty becomes your strength. Stop seeking approval is not about becoming cold or disconnected from people. It is about breaking the habit of needing others to validate every choice you make. From a young age, many people are conditioned to look for permission before they act, permission to speak, to express, to dream, to grow. Over time, this creates a pattern where your decisions are no longer guided by your own values, but by the fear of judgment. The problem with constantly seeking approval is that it places your identity in the hands of others. You begin to shape your personality based on what gets accepted, praised, or liked. Slowly, without realizing it, you start losing the connection with your true self. You say things you don't fully believe. You agree with people to avoid conflict. And you avoid taking risks because you're afraid of what others might think. A powerful woman understands that not everyone will agree with her, and she is at peace with that. She knows that approval is not a requirement for growth. In fact, the more you grow, the more likely it is that some people will misunderstand you. That is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is often a sign that you are moving beyond expectations that were never meant for you. When you stop seeking approval, you start making decisions from a place of clarity instead of fear. You ask yourself what you truly want, what aligns with your values, and what direction feels right for your life. This shift may feel uncomfortable at first because you are stepping away from a familiar pattern. But discomfort is often a necessary part of growth. Letting go of approval also means accepting responsibility for your choices. You can no longer blame others for the direction of your life because you are the one making the decisions. This can feel heavy, but it is also empowering because when the control is in your hands, so is the ability to create change. There will be moments when the urge to seek validation returns, especially in situations where you feel uncertain or vulnerable. In those moments, it becomes important to pause and ask yourself why you are looking for approval. Is it because you genuinely value someone's perspective, or because you are afraid of standing on your own? This awareness helps you break the cycle. As you continue this practice, your confidence begins to grow from within. You no longer wait for applause to feel proud of yourself. You no longer depend on acceptance to feel secure. Your sense of self becomes stronger, more stable, and less influenced by the noise around you. Set strong boundaries is not about pushing people away or building walls that isolate you from the world. It is about clearly defining what you will accept and what you will not tolerate in your life. Without boundaries, people often take more than they give, not always out of bad intentions, but because there is no clear limit. When you don't communicate your limits, others will unknowingly cross them, and over time, this leads to frustration, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. Many people struggle with setting boundaries because they fear being seen as rude, selfish, or difficult. They worry that saying no will disappoint others or damage relationships. But the truth is, every time you say yes to something that goes against your needs or values, you are saying no to yourself. And when this becomes a habit, you slowly lose your sense of control over your own life. A powerful woman understands that boundaries are a form of self-respect. She does not wait until she is overwhelmed to set limits. She is proactive about protecting her time, her energy, and her emotional well-being. She knows that not every request deserves a yes, and not every opinion deserves her attention. This awareness allows her to stay focused on what truly matters. Setting boundaries also requires clarity. You need to understand your own limits before you can communicate them to others. This means being honest with yourself about what drains you, what makes you uncomfortable, and what aligns with your values. Once you are clear, the next step is communication. Boundaries are not effective if they remain in your mind. They must be expressed clearly and calmly. There will be people who resist your boundaries, especially if they are used to having unlimited access to your time or energy. This is where consistency becomes important. A boundary is not something you set once. It is something you maintain through your actions. If you allow exceptions every time you feel guilty or pressured, the boundary loses its strength. It is also important to understand that setting boundaries may change your relationships. Some people will respect your limits and appreciate your honesty. Others may distance themselves because they can no longer benefit from your lack of boundaries. This is not a loss. It is a natural filtering process that helps you surround yourself with people who value and respect you. Strong boundaries create space in your life. Space for growth, for peace, and for meaningful connections. They allow you to give your time and energy intentionally rather than out of obligation. And when your actions are aligned with your values, your confidence grows because you are no longer compromising who you are to fit into someone else's expectations. Build unshakable confidence is not about always feeling strong, fearless, or certain. It is about creating a foundation within yourself that does not collapse every time something goes wrong. Many people misunderstand confidence as something you either have or you don't. But in reality, it is something you build through consistent actions, honest self, reflection, and the willingness to grow through discomfort. Most confidence is fragile because it is built on temporary things: success, appearance, praise, or external results. When those things are present, you feel strong. But when they disappear, your confidence disappears with them. That is not real confidence, that is dependency. Unshakable confidence is different. It is rooted in your ability to trust yourself even when the outcome is uncertain. A powerful woman does not wait to feel confident before she takes action. She understands that confidence comes after action, not before it. She steps into situations that challenge her, even when she feels unprepared. She speaks when her voice shakes. She tries when there is a chance of failure. And she learns when things don't go as planned. Each experience becomes proof that she can handle more than she once believed. Building this kind of confidence requires facing discomfort regularly. Growth does not happen in safe, predictable environments. It happens when you push beyond what feels familiar. This might mean having difficult conversations, taking risks, or stepping into opportunities that feel intimidating. Every time you move through discomfort instead of avoiding it, you expand your capacity and strengthen your belief in yourself. Self-trust plays a critical role in unshakable confidence. It is the belief that no matter what happens, You will find a way to handle it. This does not mean you will always succeed, but it means you will not abandon yourself when things get difficult. You will learn, adapt, and keep moving forward. This mindset removes the fear of failure because failure is no longer something that defines you. It becomes something that teaches you. Another important part of building confidence is how you speak to yourself. Your internal dialogue shapes your perception of who you are. If you constantly criticize yourself, doubt your abilities, or focus on your weaknesses, your confidence will remain weak. But when you begin to challenge those thoughts and replace them with more constructive ones, your mindset begins to shift. You start to see possibilities instead of limitations. Consistency is what turns small actions into lasting confidence. It is not about one big moment of success. It is about showing up for yourself every day, even in small ways. Keeping promises to yourself, following through on your goals, and staying committed to your growth all contribute to a stronger sense of self. Over time, these actions create a solid internal foundation that is not easily shaken by external circumstances. Take full responsibility is not about blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong in your life. It is about recognizing that you are in control of your actions, your responses, and the direction you choose to move in. Many people spend years waiting for circumstances to change, for others to treat them differently, or for the perfect opportunity to appear. But as long as your life depends on things outside your control, your power remains limited. Taking responsibility begins with a shift in mindset. Instead of asking why something is happening to you, you start asking what you can do about it. This does not mean ignoring challenges or pretending that life is always fair. It means focusing your energy on what is within your control rather than what is not, because that is where real change happens. A powerful woman does not see herself as a victim of her circumstances. She acknowledges difficulties, but she refuses to let them define her. She understands that her past may have shaped her, but it does not have to decide her future. This awareness allows her to break patterns that no longer serve her. Instead of repeating the same cycles, she makes conscious choices to move in a different direction. Taking responsibility also means owning your decisions. Every choice you make has consequences, whether positive or negative. When things go well, it is easy to take credit. But when things don't go as planned, it becomes tempting to blame others or external factors. While those factors may play a role, avoiding responsibility prevents growth. When you take ownership, you create an opportunity to learn and improve. There is also a level of honesty required in this process. You have to be willing to look at yourself without excuses, to recognize where you may have made mistakes, where you could have acted differently, and where you need to grow. This kind of self-awareness can be uncomfortable, but it is necessary for progress. Without it, you remain stuck in the same place. Taking full responsibility is also about discipline. It means doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It means staying committed to your goals, even when the results are not immediate. Motivation can come and go, but responsibility keeps you moving forward. It creates structure and consistency in your actions. As you continue to take responsibility for your life, you begin to feel a sense of control and direction. You no longer wait for someone else to fix things or for the perfect moment to begin. You take action with what you have, where you are, and with each step you build momentum. That momentum becomes a driving force that moves you closer to the life you want to create. Speak with purpose is not about talking more, speaking louder, or trying to dominate every conversation. It is about being intentional with your words and understanding the impact they carry. Every time you speak, you are either adding value or creating noise. Purposeful communication comes from clarity, knowing what you want to say, why you want to say it, and how it aligns with who you are. Many people speak out of habit, emotion, or the need to fill silence. They react instead of respond. They talk to be heard rather than to be understood. This often leads to misunderstandings, regret, or words that don't truly reflect what they believe. A powerful woman takes a different approach. She pauses, she thinks, and then she speaks with intention. She understands that silence is sometimes more powerful than unnecessary words. Speaking with purpose also means being honest, even when it is uncomfortable. It means expressing your thoughts clearly instead of hiding them to avoid conflict. This does not require aggression or harshness. In fact, the most impactful communication is calm, direct, and respectful. When your words come from a place of clarity rather than emotion, they carry more weight and are more likely to be understood. There is also confidence in purposeful speech. Not the kind that seeks attention, but the kind that stands firm in truth. You do not need to over-explain or constantly justify yourself. You say what needs to be said, and you trust that it is enough. This kind of communication reduces confusion and builds respect because people know where you stand. Listening is a key part of speaking with purpose. You cannot communicate effectively if you are only focused on what you want to say next. A powerful woman listens to understand, not just to respond. She pays attention to what others are saying, to their tone, and to the meaning behind their words. This allows her to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Purposeful speech also requires emotional control. There will be moments when you feel triggered, frustrated, or hurt. In those moments, it becomes easy to say things you don't truly mean. But once words are spoken, they cannot be taken back. Learning to manage your emotions before you speak allows you to maintain control over your message and avoid unnecessary damage to relationships. Over time, speaking with purpose shapes how others perceive you. Your words become more impactful because they are not used carelessly. People begin to listen more closely because they know you speak with intention. This creates influence, not through force, but through clarity and consistency in how you communicate. Create your own path is not about rejecting everything that already exists or ignoring guidance from others. It is about understanding that your life does not have to follow a predefined script. Many people move through life based on expectations set by society, family, or culture. They follow paths that feel safe, familiar, and approved, even if those paths do not truly align with who they are. Over time, this creates a sense of disconnect, where you are living a life that looks right on the outside but feels empty on the inside. Creating your own path begins with awareness. You start questioning what you have been told about success, happiness, and identity. You ask yourself what you truly want, not what is expected of you. This process requires honesty because it is easy to confuse your own desires with the influence of others. Taking the time to understand your values, your passions, and your vision allows you to make decisions that are aligned with your authentic self. A powerful woman does not wait for permission to pursue her goals. She understands that there will never be a perfect moment where everything feels certain and secure. Instead of waiting, she starts with what she has. She takes small steps, learns along the way, and adjusts her direction when needed. This willingness to act, even in uncertainty, is what separates those who create their own path from those who remain stuck in place. There will be challenges when you choose a different direction. Not everyone will understand your choices, and some may question your decisions. This can create doubt, especially when you are stepping away from what is considered normal or safe. But creating your own path requires trusting yourself, even when others cannot see your vision. It requires the strength to continue, even when external support is limited. Failure is also a part of this journey. When you step into the unknown, things will not always go as planned. But failure does not mean you are on the wrong path. It means you are learning, adapting, and growing. Each mistake provides information that helps you refine your direction. Instead of seeing failure as something to avoid, you begin to see it as a necessary part of progress. Creating your own path also means taking responsibility for your time and energy. You become more intentional about how you spend your days, who you surround yourself with, and what you focus on. Distractions and comparisons lose their hold on you because you are no longer trying to fit into someone else's journey. You are focused on building your own. As you continue to move forward, your path becomes clearer, not because everything is perfectly planned, but because you are actively shaping it through your choices. You begin to build a life that reflects your values, your strengths, and your vision. And in that process, you develop a deeper sense of purpose and direction.